Jesus the Rabbi complied with the cultural and ecclesiastical requirements of his office. All who knew him considered him a rabbi. He studied the law in his youth and gained a profound knowledge that exceeded the ecclesiastical elite of his generation. He was married before starting his ministry at the required age. He performed the duties of a rabbi, including teaching, responding to questions on the law, and settling legal disputes. He was, in every respect, a normal practicing rabbi. It would be surprising, then, if Jesus did not look the part of a rabbi as well as playing the part. Outward appearance was just as important to the office of rabbi as were the inward qualities. We know that the Pharisees of Jesus' time, in their capacity as rabbis, were fastidious in conforming to all formal aspects of their position. This included their ecclesiastical apparel. The Pharisees dressed as rabbis and were expected to dress in accordance with the mandate set forth in the Torah. There were specific clothing standards for Israelites given by the Lord to Moses. One such standard was that fringes were to be placed upon the borders of their garments. What the King James Version translates as fringes is the Hebrew tzitzith, which literally means a tassel. Borders of their garments is a translation of kanaf, meaning wing, extremity, or corner. In this particular case, since the outer garment was a four-cornered cloth, there were to be 4 tassels, one attached to each corner of the garment. These tassels were to be a blue cord or thread. Since it was Jesus Christ who gave the original commandment to Moses and to all Israel, he certainly would have obeyed the commandment, at least until the law of Moses had been fulfilled after his crucifixion and resurrection. In his lifetime, he obeyed the law as he gave it. He was an Israelite and was required to wear the garment as prescribed. We know that he wore the garment with tassels at the corners, as they are mentioned in Matthew. It was the woman with the issue of blood that touched the tassels of his garment and was healed. The Greek kraspedon, translated as hem, means both border and tassel. The scriptures are clear that phylacteries were part of the rabbinic attire. The Hebrew word for phylacteries is tephilim, its meaning uncertain. The Greek is phylacterion, and is used once in the New Testament in Jesus' condemnation of the Pharisees. Phylacteries were parchment capsules containing little parchment rolls with Hebrew text, affixed to the left upper arm and the forehead. The wearing of phylacteries, or tephilim, was not strictly a commandment as was the wearing of tassels. They are an interpretation of statements of the Lord to Moses recorded in the Torah. These my words referred to specific passages of the Torah, which were placed within the boxes, which were then bound to the arm and the forehead. Even so, phylacteries were considered essential parts of the ecclesiastical garb for a rabbi. The Pharisees wore them, and the cultural expectation was that all rabbis wore them. It is not a certainty that Jesus wore phylacteries as did the Pharisees. After all, he did criticize them for their broad phylacteries and large tassels. Yet, this is not a criticism of phylacteries per se. He is objecting to their pretentious display. There are good reasons, however indirect, to believe that Jesus did wear phylacteries. First, as we noted before, the Savior instructed his disciples to observe all the practices of the Pharisees. This would include the wearing of phylacteries. The caution, of course, is that they should not broaden them or enlarge their tassels. Jesus would not instruct his disciples to do that which he was not doing himself. A second reason would be a measure against criticism. As the Gospels amply demonstrate, the Pharisees took great pains to point out even the smallest infractions of the law by Jesus and his disciples. If Jesus had not worn phylacteries, the Pharisees certainly would have pounced on this point and openly challenged him. That they did not do so indicates that Jesus likely wore phylacteries. Jesus looked the part of a rabbi, which is not how he is normally portrayed today. Modern stylized likenesses of the Savior give a false impression of the man. The authentic Jesus Christ was a rabbi, and should be portrayed as such, or not at all.